It is so cold here. I can't go outside and do anything because I'm a wuss. People keep asking me where I get my pirate pants at, that I make them myself. My pirate pants are basically harem pants. I make them for family and for friends. I can make them some really super cool ones that will match their personalities or their color preferences. Earlier this week I had a lady tell me, she's like, hey, do you have a video for it on YouTube? No, I don't. I'm going to make myself a pirate pants video. I'm going to stay inside and I'm going to stay warm and I'm going to entertain my brain, and hopefully I can entertain your brain. We can make some cool pants together. They're just super easy to make. Get your material you like. I love the batiks. They're so pretty. Batiks. Batiks. Most people use them for quilting. I use them for pants. 1/8 inch elastic, like the little package here. Let me see. Yeah, it comes in these little things here. There's like 9 yards here. Wash your material. The wax that they use when they're doing the batiking leaves the material a little stiff. 4 to 5 washings before these get really super comfortable, but it feels just like the softest sheets that you've ever slept on in bed. And that's fabulous feeling. Let me switch this camera around. And oh wait, let's not switch the camera around. So if you don't have this, you can totally use a yardstick. I didn't have a yardstick at first until I went to a thrift store and I claimed myself one. Well, this is more than a yardstick. You can use a 39-inch stick if you have a 39-inch stick like I do. Or you can even use a tape measure. Just lay it out. Get yourself some string. You can just use the string. Make sure it's a stiff string because we're going to be using it for measuring. So that is kind of like a hack. The first thing that you need to figure out is how wide is the widest part of your hip area. How much junk do you have in your trunk? Make sure you get that measured properly. If you don't, you won't be able to pull the pants up. I'm going to make sure it's kind of loose. I have 39 inches worth of junk in my trunk. So we're going to write down 39 inches. I have numerous pairs that are the shorter, like this, like they're capri length. But it's winter time, and that's the whole reason why I'm making another pair of pirate pants that are long, because it's cold out there. I'm measuring from my hip bone because this is right about where I like to wear my pants at. I've got 36 inches here, the crotch drop as I call it. So that's 16 inches. And then measure your calves. And most people do actually have one calf or one leg that's a little bit bigger than the other one. So measure both of them. Write down the calf that the measurement is the largest. So we need to write down 15 inches for our calves. The bonus of measuring when you have your clothes on, you're going to be even more comfortable. I'm going to move the camera. Once you're done washing the fabric, take it out of the dryer as soon as possible, because I do not like to iron, and fold it so that the right sides are together, and fold it back in half the long ways so that, you know, it just looks like you bought a ridiculous amount of fabric. I always like to try to keep the fold towards me. To make sure that your fabric is straight, you can either cut it or just eyeball it. I always just eyeball it. You want to measure out the length of your legs, which was 36 inches for me. So you find your 36 inches. Now, if your fabric is directional, make sure that you actually cut down the slit where the actual waist is going to be at. Mine's not directional, so I should be good to go. All right, fold that to where you've got 2 pieces that are going to give you your 36 inches. Flatten it out good. What we're going to do is we're going to do some very simple math. We're going to take our waist measurement, we're going to add 1 to it, and then we're going to divide it by 4. Feel free to round this number up to the nearest inch when you're putting it on here, just because it makes it a lot easier than having to find 0.25 or 0.5. Just go ahead and round it up to the next inch. And yes, honestly, I marked directly on the fabric. So now we're going to come down, we're going to make sure that we've got our mark good on our length. And then our drop is going to be 16 inches. So find your 16 inches down this way. And then you measure down to your 16 inches. And then you go over your 16. We're going to add an inch. The reason we keep adding an inch is for seam allowance. Go ahead and mark an X. So take your calf measurement, add an inch, and then divide it by 2. And mark that measurement down at the bottom of your pants. Basically, we're just going to connect the dots. Once your marks are all down for your pant legs, go ahead and cut that material. If you cut this with the fold up here, just barely skim the top of it, or cut it open with a pair of scissors. Doesn't really matter. Just open up the top of it. And you'll have your two pants pieces. Throw them to the side. The waistband is going to be 10 inches this way, piece cut out, open it up, and cut it in half. So set that to the side. Now we're going to do some pockets. The pockets are going to be measured at 9 by 8 inches. So, oof, it's magical. I have 9 inches right here. So now I just need to get my 8 inches. And then you'll have 2 pockets. Set them to the side. And then with this piece that is crazy long, we're going to cut a 2-inch strip out of this. We're going to use that for our drawstring. Yes, it's going to be ridiculously long, and you're going to end up with 2 of them too. This can be saved for any future pirate pants you do. On the waistband, on one of your pieces, you're going to want to fold it in half, because we're going to put a buttonhole in. If you can't put a buttonhole in, it's okay to just cut a slit in the pants, because when you wash them, it'll fray up a little bit. Basically, it's just for the drawstring, so that the drawstring can come out. Go ahead and mark where that halfway point is at, if you're going to do a buttonhole. If you're not going to do a buttonhole, go ahead and mark out. You don't want the hole to be too big, only like not even a half an inch, just big enough so that you can feed the drawstring through it. can't do a buttonhole, this right here is a pretty awesome tool to just cut a small slit in it. I'll go ahead and I'll cut a slit in this one. I'm still going to do the buttonhole though. So basically, you just cut your slit. You want to grab a spare piece of fabric. You can get some of the fabric that matches to put underneath there. Just to help with the sewing machine, because the sewing machine can be a pain if you're only sewing through one layer sometimes. All right, so now we're gonna go to the sewing machine. I am not going to bore you with having to watch me sew. Place your small piece of material underneath where you made your mark out for your buttonhole. Go ahead and sew your buttonhole on here, and then we'll meet back here. Okay, once you have your buttonhole sewn in, go ahead and trim your extra threads and open that up. And trim off some of the extra material on the other side, because it can get in your way when we feed the drawstring and the elastic through. Okay, once you have that done, put your right sides together. I lost my other piece to the waist. Is it on the floor? It's not on the floor. Oh, I found it. Okay, put the right sides together of your waistband, and then sew down like about a half inch seam. Once you get that sewed, take it and fold it so that the wrong sides are together the long way. And we're going to make our encasements for our elastic and our drawstring. I always do the waistband first because it's the most time consuming. So we're going to do our elastic is going to be up above the buttonhole. So you can go ahead and do like just one like quick mark. Just line it up from the top of where your buttonhole is at. Make a mark, and then make a mark down below the buttonhole. Once you have those marks down on there, we're going to go ahead and just do a straight stitch all the way down this. Keep it as straight as you can. Okay, once you have your lines sewn in there, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. So basically I just sewed lines all the way down the length of the fabric. Once you have that done, you need your elastic. So you're going to need 2 pieces that will fit comfortably around your waist. This 1/8 inch elastic, if that's the kind you got, is like super duper stretchy. It's really comfortable once you run it through your waistband. So go ahead and mark your measurement and add like an inch to it, an unstretched inch to it. We're going to go ahead and get our drawstring ready to go. On the drawstring, you're going to put your right sides together on it, and literally you're just going to sew all the way down. Once you have your drawstring sewn in half all the way down, we're going to go ahead and turn that right side out. You can do that with a safety pin, or if you have a loop turner, you can do it with that. Or I always do mine with a drawstring threader, because I can multitask with it. When I can find it. Oh, there it is. Alright, so basically Just turn it right side out. Whatever you need to do, turn it right side out. This loop turner is seriously like one of my favorite tools that I have in my craft room. It just makes life so easy. We are going to run that through the middle line that we did for our buttonhole. So go ahead and bring it through the buttonhole. Flatten it out in there. And safety pin it so it doesn't pull all the way out. Okay, and then go back through your buttonhole and pull it through to the other end. And once you get it pulled through to this side, you're going to want to safety pin it on this side as well. Now for the elastic. On this one, you need to be a little more careful because you very easily will pull this through further than it needs to go. I do it quite often. You can put it in your mouth if you want to, which is fine because you're making them for you. If you're not making them for you, don't tell them that you were holding on to parts with your mouth. Unless they're cool, then you can tell them whatever you want to tell them. Fold our elastic band in half. Make sure that your buttonhole or where your drawstring is coming out is on the inside. So that is now considered the right side of your waistband. That's my right side. Make sure that you get any twists out of it. You don't want a twisted waistband. And then pin it all down. And then we're just going to sew a ½ inch or about a ½ inch. I never do exactly a half. About a ½ inch seam allowance on this so that it becomes a loop. So just go ahead and trim off your extra threads and this extra material that you really don't need to have there. Go as close to your stitching as you can without destroying that. Okay, and the hardest part of the pirate pants is done. Is it recording? Oh, yep, you're recording. So now that your waistband is done, we're gonna do an encasement for the elastic on our cuffs. Just go ahead and do it towards the bottom where the fold is at. Do it over about 1/4 inch on both of them. Make sure that your right side is out. So make sure that you're sewing it with the wrong side together. Okay, once you have your elastic pulled through, just go ahead and set them to the side with your waistband. And then for the pockets, so you need to hem your pocket really quick. So just sew that about 1/4 inch, ½ inch inseam on that. We're going to mark our pockets. The pockets need to be slightly off-centered. You don't want them exactly in the center. Okay, take a pin about the same color of your pants and mark it X. Right there. Line your pocket up on your marks that you made. And you're going to do a zigzag stitch for both of these. So with your hem across the top, zigzag stitch for the hem around the pocket to attach it to your pant leg. So as close as you can to the edge of the fabric when you're doing that. Okay, once you have your pockets sewn on, go ahead and trim your loose threads. So now we're going to attach our calf pieces to our pant legs. So our right side of our pants is the side with our pocket on it. We're going to attach it to the bottom. Use a stretch stitch if you have a stretch stitch available. If you don't have a stretch stitch available, just do a zigzag stitch on this. And it's going to be about a little over a quarter of an inch to a half inch seam allowance. Go ahead and do that with both of them. Make sure that you leave your pins in place where your elastic's at. Don't take those out. Okay, now we're going to sew our pant legs together once we have our cuffs attached. So basically we're going to just sew from the cuff to where it meets in the crotch area. When you're sewing this, you can use a zigzag stitch on it or a straight stitch. I like to use my stretch stitch or a zigzag, and I like to sew it as close as I possibly can to the edge. All right, go ahead and trim your loose threads and get rid of any extra calf piece that you don't need. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to turn only one pant leg so that it's right side out. And we're going to stick it inside of our other pant leg. So put the one that you just turned right side out inside of your other pant leg. And we are going to sew all the way around the crotch area. You can use zigzag stitch, straight stitch, whatever stitch you want to use. Just make sure that you sew it fairly close to the edge. Kind of like I did on the pants here. It saves time later because you wash them and then it gets like the threads loosen up and stuff and you have to trim them anyhow, so it just makes for less trimming later. Okay, once you get your two legs sewn together, you want to trim off your extra strings. Or thread, I guess it's called thread, it's not string, it's thread. Go ahead and pull get it so that it's in, like, looking more like pants. And grab your waistband, and the right side again of your waistband is the side with the drawstring coming out of it. So you're going to line your drawstring up with your front seam. And again, you're just going to want to do your stitch just like you did the rest of the stitches that we did on the inside of the pants, as close as you can to the edge. Make sure that you do a zigzag stitch or a stretch stitch. Once you get your waistband sewed on, again, trim your extra threads. And then your pants are done. Once you turn them right side out, they're done anyhow. And your pirate pants are done. You've got your drawstring. If you want to cut your drawstring and make it two separate pieces, you can. But it won't move around because you sewed it into it. Got some nice pockets, cell phone, hands, keys, whatever will fit in here. enjoy them. And now that you know how to make some pirate pants, you can start making them for your family and friends too.